Hey everybody, this is the first crit of the year for me, the Kenosha Velosport Criterium. This is the first of 3 crits. This was this past Sunday, and then there's one this Sunday and next Sunday. This is the category 1, 2, 3 race. I'm a 3. There are a couple 1s and 2s in the field, however. And this race is a 40-minute crit, and I believe we had a field of about 10 or 11 guys. So if the camera angle looks different from the ones that you've seen on my channel in the past, that's because I got new handlebars and I had to put the camera on my helmet for this one. So I apologize if it looks kind of weird. So you can see there's a pretty strong headwind on the finishing straight, and that is true throughout the whole race. We're coming up to the end of the first lap here, and I really was just sitting on wheels. I didn't have any plans. I was just kind of try and sit in and maybe win the field sprint. That was my plan going into this race itself. So as we come across for the first lap, I'm feeling good. I just want to stay towards the front, watch for any quick moves. And as we come around this corner here, the whole back half of the course, there was little to no wind. There was a slight crosswind on this next part of the course, and then a slight crosswind on the opposite side as well. But this guy pulls off, and I kind of look back and I noticed that there was, some gap between me and the rest of the field, and I just felt good and I decided to jump on it. Now my buddy here on the left, Matt Kelly, he's Cat 1, and he sees that and he jumped as well. So I saw him go, and I knew that any winning move was going to have him in it, and so I jumped on his wheel. Now most of you know I don't consider myself anything but a sprinter. It's not great to pigeonhole yourself, but I for sure always feel kind of hesitant to get into a breakaway. But I knew that if I could stick on Matt's wheel, we could probably get away. And that's what ends up happening. So we open up a gap here, probably about 10, maybe 15 seconds right off the rip. And it's me, Matt in front of me, and then one more guy behind us. So the guy behind us really didn't want to take any pulls. And that's really frustrating if you're in a break, because everybody in the break has to be committed to it, or else there's a big chance of it not working. So if one of the guys isn't taking pulls, that means the other 2 guys have to work much harder than if the 3 would. So we're riding along, and I start to let a gap open up between my wheel and Matt's to try and get this guy to pull a little bit, to use some energy, because if he's going to just sit on us, then he's going to beat both of us in a final sprint. So he does. He bridges up to Matt, and I jump onto his wheel, and Matt kind of slows up and pulls off to the side, and we finally get this third rider in front of us so we can get some rest from drafting. So it was at this point in the race that Matt and I had kind of decided that we wanted to drop this guy. He wasn't doing the work that we really wanted him to, so we thought to ourselves, well, let's just work to try and get him to drop. So right here, I had been off the front by myself because Matt had let a gap open up, and then I wait for the guy in white to pull, and I get on his wheel again. And you can see Matt will kind of pull off to the right and slow up, and then I'll slow up behind this guy so we can get him in front again to use more energy because he hadn't been taking pulls. So we both kind of sit behind him on his wheel, again just trying to get him to use some energy. And then as we come around the next corner onto the finishing straight, I'm going to pull through, and you'll see I'm riding pretty close to the gutter, just trying to not let this guy get much draft off of me. And I'm on the far left-hand side of the road, and as you'll see here in a second, Matt was on third wheel, and he pulls off all the way to the right there, and he starts putting in a pretty big dig. And I notice that the guy in white is kind of dropped off, and so I hop onto Matt's wheel. And at this point, it's just Matt and I. We're together. He tells me just keep it steady, and that guy won't be able to pull back onto us. And so that's what we do for almost the whole rest of the race. So we were off the front from about 7 minutes into the race. This is, I think, 2 to go, and you can see Matt starts to do the same thing to me, which is a perfectly valid strategy. It's actually exactly what he should do. He's riding in the gutter, so I have to do a ton of work to stay near him because we're in a headwind right now. And so I'm working my ass off trying to stay on his wheel, and he finally starts to come out a little bit as we get towards the turn. But it took a lot of efforts to stay with him here, and it was a really good move by him. And so here we are on the start of the final lap, and I'm on the front, and I know Matt's behind me, and I know at some point he's going to make a move and try to attack because he, again, is a 1, so I know he's faster than me. But he's also much more of kind of a breakaway rider than I would classify myself as. So I'm just waiting for him to make some sort of move, and you'll see coming up here on the left, he does, and he jumps all the way across the road, which is exactly what you're supposed to do, and he puts in a massive effort. I'm so far in the pain cave that I don't even know if I'm going to be able to keep up with him. So I kind of try and dive this corner and carry as much speed as I can and really just put a ton of power down and really just try and get back on his wheel. That's my goal at this point, is if I can get back on his wheel, maybe I can hold on. And so you'll see here he notices that I'm coming back up on him, so he doesn't want to waste more energy. After the race, he and I talked about it, and he said he wasn't really sure exactly how he was going to try and drop me. But you'll see again, still he's riding in the gutter, and I'm just doing my best not to pass him, because I know if I'm going to have any chance on beating him, I'm going to need to jump off of his draft in the sprint here. So we're just kind of, putts in here. Again, the wind is pretty strong here and on the finishing straight, and so my goal is to just wait until maybe that last 200, even maybe 150 meters, because of how strong the wind is. And we're going to come around here at the corner, and you'll see he kind of, dives across the road to try and get away and get me off his wheel and stick me in the wind. And he does a pretty good job. He's putting in a huge effort here to get away from me, and I just managed to get enough draft where I can stick on his wheel. And before the race started, I had joked with him that if he let me win, I'd buy him a cheeseburger. So at this point, we're just kind of rolling into the finish, into this headwind, and I put in a little bit of an effort of a sprint, and I noticed that he just kind of sits up, and we just roll into the finish, and I managed to take first, and he takes second. I cross the line here, point back, give him some credit, because he did a hell of a job. I hope you guys like this race video. I'll keep them coming all summer long.